at night with your favorite host.
Huh.
But COVID. Um, but yeah, let's jump into that news first. Let me bring up my little news doc. Um, Block Garcetti. Let's talk about that,
We
Tabitha.
blocked Garcetti.
Blocked Garcetti.
We did the blocking successfully.
Yeah, so if folks have been following, Black Lives Matter has been leading protests outside of Eric Garcetti's mansion in Hancock Park for, do you have the number of days? Like 25 days? It's been a few weeks at this point.
Oh, wait. They're telling us to hold in the chat.
Oh, I don't have the chat open.
Are we in trouble?
The sound was being glitchy for a minute, but you're good now.
All right, we're good. So we blocked Garcetti.
Yeah, we blocked Garcetti. It was announced that, unfortunately, Pete Buttigieg was selected for Secretary of Transportation in his stead, but we can only control so much here in LA, and we can at least do what we can to stop our own failure of a mayor from continuing to fail upward, and hope maybe this can serve as a model or an inspiration to folks around the country of what is possible.
Yeah, we were out every single day. BLM was organizing those protests and just telling the world why Garcetti has been totally inept as a mayor. And frankly, LA took the L here for the country. We have to deal with him now for the next couple of years, which was the plan. But he was being considered for housing, for HUD, Secretary and Transportation Secretary. He obviously didn't get HUD. That announcement was made, I think, last week. And transportation went to the beloved
I honestly could
Pete.
not figure out where the connection was that was going
That
wrong.
was supposed to be sarcastic. But yeah, we know that his policies in LA have led to nothing good. We have probably the nation's largest housing crisis right now. We definitely have the worst homelessness crisis in the country. And he has done nothing to change the situation here. We also have some of the world's worst traffic. Isn't that what LA is known for?
And very little in the way of public transportation, and obviously like no projects that prioritize the needs of the people who actually use public transportation. Instead, we get stuff like a line from LAX to cater towards tourists for the Olympics, which hopefully we'll cancel next. But yeah, so that's some good news. We did it. Be happy.
In other good news, we got Nithya in office.
Yay!
We did a lot of good work. A lot of people put in a lot of work in building the community of CD4. And yesterday was her first day in council, and she introduced two beautiful motions. The first one was to get a report from LASA about how the city is conducting outreach to our unhoused neighbors. We know that LASA right now is not setting up their outreach operation for success. And we want to know why. And we want to know what we need to do to fix it so that we can create really compassionate, values-forward solutions to homelessness. And that obviously starts with building trusting relationships with our neighbors. Her second motion was... What was her second motion? I'm just blanking right now.
Services in CD4, yeah.
Yeah, her second motion, who they got Krikorian to sign on to second, which was a big, I was impressed by that, but was to identify locations throughout District 4 where they can put navigation centers, they're calling them in the motion, but it's in line with her platform during the campaign to create access centers, like walk-in centers where people who need services and resources can go in and do things like shower, talk to a caseworker, use the bathroom, basic things that people don't have access to right now.
Cool. So good job, Nithya. Keep it up. Keep introducing those motions. We love them. We love motions here. Oh, speaking of Black Lives Matter, you want to talk about Kendrick, Tabitha, as the resident expert in Colombia?
So, as some folks might know, I'm a Colombian myself.
Colombiana, as they say.
Right. How they say Colombiana. And our comrade Kendrick was one of the leaders from BLM. It looks
Kendrick
like he's
Sampson.
Kendrick Sampson, yes. Is in Cartagena right now, which is one of the larger cities in Colombia. And he's just been getting brutalized by the police there for being Black. I think a lot of people don't think about the fact that there's such a weird misconception of what's going on in Latin America in the US, but the same issues that we have here exist in Latin America. And the police suck here and they suck in Latin America. There's like a video that he posted on his socials of him getting punched by the cops and then them like cocking their gun and like detaining him for literally doing nothing. So it's really upsetting to see that. But it's also, I know that in Colombia, they have been, starting to organize a lot more around the issues of police brutality. And a few months ago, it was caught on video that a lawyer was killed by the police in Bogota with a taser. And the whole country went into like riots not riots, but they went into an uprising for 3 days. And then they did a general strike. So they're fighting hard down there to get something new put in place and defund the police, just like we're fighting here. So some solidarity goes out to Colombia.
Yeah, when we say all cops, we mean all cops, even Colombian cops.
Yeah, ACAB is international.
Oh, also, speaking of cops, we need your help, folks. So Stop LAPD Spying. Our friends there who have been on the show before are asking for you to give public comment to block LAPD from formalizing the use of facial recognition technology. This is a bad thing they're trying to do. We don't want them to do it. So if you can, I don't know if we can put the link up on the screen, but it's tinyurl.com/stoplapdfr for facial recognition. And you can deliver public comment. The deadline is December 31st, New Year's Eve. Some of you may be observing, but that's a way to mark your calendar. So get your comment in before then. Speak out against it. We don't need to be giving any more power and any more surveillance powers to the police. And if you are a member of an organization, you can check the article, the public letter they put up on Knock, which I don't know if we can post that one up, but just go to knock.la. And it should be there on the front page, open letter to reject, and you can sign on as a member, as a spokesperson for your organization. Ground Game LA has signed on, Black Lives Matter LA has signed on, White People for Black Lives has signed on. So do that and, fight back against the behemoth that is the LAPD.
Hell yeah. Let's see, what else we have? In some nerdy city planning news.
Yeah, let's get into city.
Favorite.
Where are city planning fans at? Sound off in the chat.
Let us know if you love city planning. Yeah, baby. Okay, I'll just do a little education here while we're at it. As a lot of people probably know that there is a planning code in LA, but do people know what a community plan is?
Nope.
I'm going to tell you. So community plans are basically localized planning policy documents that pretty much sit on top of the LA general planning code for specified neighborhoods. Not every neighborhood in LA has a community plan, but a lot of them do. And Hollywood has a community plan that hasn't been updated since 1988, even though they're supposed to get updated every 10 years, which is not cool. So if you're wondering why we have so much hotel development in Hollywood and so much market rate development in Hollywood, it's because our community plan isn't doing anything for the people that live here. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they decided to change, and update the Hollywood community plan with the Olympics coming in. But the very first draft that they released pretty much upzoned all of Hollywood. It was terrible. It was just like, hey, do you want to build larger buildings because you're allowed to now? And hey, do you want to turn all of the housing in Hollywood into hotels? Like, go for it, developers. Just freaking do what you want.
Or like no-tells.
So there's been a coalition called the Just Hollywood Coalition. It's got Ground Game in it, Unite Here, Local 11, LA Voice, ACT LA, Thai CDC, a lot of other partners that I'm probably forgetting, Food and Water Watch. And we're trying to fight for a much more just community plan, one that will give us more affordable housing and not just like give away things to developers because they exist and our city loves developers. So they're on the third, I think, draft of the community plan. We've won a few things. Okay, we got rid of some of the upzoning in some of the major corridors, and we have a few protections for local workers, but we haven't gone far enough yet. And actually, coincidence, today's the last day of public comment for the community plan update. So if you want to just Google Hollywood community plan update, it'll be the first thing that comes up. And you'll see a little tab on the right that says contact, and you'll see the names of 3 city planners there. They are Linda Lu, Sophia Kim, and Quetzali Enrique. If you want to just send them an email letting them know that you support a Just Hollywood community plan and that you want to see more affordable housing and talk about any issues that affect you locally, that would be pretty cool. Again, Hollywood community plan update. You can just type that into Google and you'll get the first result will be it.
Yes, please do that. Hollywood is a real place. It's actually cool in a lot of ways, but it is sort of being destroyed, so help us save it. Akbar. All right, folks, little update on Akbar. If you don't know, Akbar is like the working class gay bar in LA, I would say. It's been a cornerstone of the queer community in the greater, Silver Lake. I don't want to call it the East Side, but it's in around that like Silver Lake Junction area. And like many people, the banks haven't forgiven their mortgage, even though they have no revenue. They legally can't be open, and they morally shouldn't be open. They don't want to be open to kill people to pay their mortgage, but the bank's basically saying they should, because that's what banks do. So they sort of quietly posted a GoFundMe a few days ago. I hadn't heard about it until my dear friend James Adomian, some of you may know, the funny joke maker, asked like, hey, what can we do about it? And I checked the GoFundMe. I checked the GoFundMe, it was like 2 nights ago. It was around like 15K when I checked the link. A few hours later, I checked it again. I had seen it like all over Instagram. All my friends were sharing it. It was over $1,000 they had raised since then. I think it's at 176 right now. So Ground Game got a meeting with Scott and Peter, the owners of Akbar, this morning, and we're talking about how we can band together with other LGBTQ businesses and bars to cancel mortgages, and especially on a commercial level. We've been fighting to cancel rents and cancel mortgages, as you may know, since the beginning of the pandemic. And obviously advocating against rent in general since well before that. But now I feel like we have a lot more people paying attention to issues around like gentrification that's going to come when all of these small businesses shut down. This is something that a lot of immigrant-owned businesses and POC-owned businesses have already been facing. A lot of places have already shut down because of this, and they aren't coming back. And unless we, want every business on the corner to be an empty, vacant luxury housing unit owned by Blackstone, which is probably what will happen, best case scenario, maybe we'll get a Starbucks out of it. We need to push for commercial rent cancellation and forgiveness. And that's something there's measures that can be taken at a local level. That's something that's, I believe, handled at a state level, the ability to cancel and forgive commercial mortgages. It's not something that the city controls, but it's not to say the city can't do anything. And also, obviously, we've been pushing federally for this. So keep doing that. Keep following Akbar, support these groups, like help them organize, reach out to them, and we're going to work together to obviously like get the patrons of these places rents canceled, because even if they do reopen and everyone's saddled with 50 grand in like back rent that they have to pay, no one's going to be able to go get incredibly strong gin and tonics from Akbar. So we're going to work hand in hand with these places.
I'm here for the gin and tonics.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I donated a little to the GoFundMe. I feel like it's the least I could do for all the like long pours I got at Akbar, and the free poppers. But that's like some local news, and I feel like that hopefully that really shines a light on this issue that we've been pushing for months now.
This is about not siding with the banks. The banks are going to get bailed out anyways. They always do. Nothing's new there, right? They don't need that mortgage money. Money isn't even real. They don't actually have any money. So yeah, let's get mortgages canceled, save all our local beloved cherished bars so that we can party when the pandemic ends.
All right, so now on to some important news. I don't know if we're ready for that, but do we have time for a reality TV update?
Yeah, let's talk about reality TV. What have you been watching while you've been sitting at home all day? The Bachelorette, duh.
5 minutes, folks. What are you watching? You're watching The Bachelorette. We're watching back episodes of The Bachelor. We're watching The Hills.
We're watching Kardashians. We're watching Simple Life. Let's get them all in there.
I just got voted off The Bachelorette. I know a lot of you will be sad to hear.
So sound off in the chat if you think that John looks like Ben from The Bachelorette. Just got sent home last night. It was really tragic. Obviously, Tayshia is the coolest Bachelorette there has ever been. I'm a huge Tayshia fan.
Team Tay.
Team Tay. Here we go. Last night's episode, heartbreaking.
She sent me home though. My connection's bad. But do I look like Ben now?
You're both vets.
It's also like, yeah, that's like, what do you call it? His card. He's a veteran. He's not like, oh, like here's like my job or whatever. He's just like, no, I'm just a veteran. He's like a professional veteran.
Hey Ben, join About Face.
Yeah, join About Face, Ben. He's from Venice too.
But yeah, we stand reality TV here. Should we talk about COVID?
Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, we're running out of we need a full segment for this, maybe next week. So yeah, we're gonna move on to COVID coverage.
We're gonna bring on our good friend Tim.
Timmy, give it to us. Give us the news.
Yeah, it's not good news, John, as you flagged. Unfortunately, it's not exciting as public planning.
Get him off.
Or urban planning. But yeah, so COVID is raging in LA County, and I kind of want to flag this because Sasha Gray, who's going to be on later, is helping Power raise some money. Power is running a community health worker program because we need to keep our communities safe, and we're not going to do that through the state. So just to give you all kind of an idea of how bad things are and why you should stay home and watch all of this really good reality TV. That's the hook here, is we're hyping up reality TV so you stay home for Christmas. But today we recorded 22,422 new cases in LA County alone, bringing the total to 566,005 confirmed cases of COVID just in LA County, over 1.5 million cases of COVID in the state of California. We're looking at 131 confirmed COVID deaths just today, which is a new record. So this is hard, right? Quarantining. I don't know what you all have gotten into to keep yourselves busy during quarantine. I started painting my thumbnails because I don't have the
I started drinking.
There we go. What about you, Tabs? What are you doing to kill the quarantine time?
I've been binging reality TV. I've been petting my dog a lot. All sorts of binging, yeah. I got on the hard kombucha train.
Wow, you're a really party animal over there.
The other thing I'll suggest is if you're waiting in those long COVID lines, like you're going out to like the Westwood VA to get tested, like take some audiobooks with you, just like get in line. You can't make friends, unfortunately, because you all got to be locked in your car not eating, but get some good audiobooks. Maybe listen to like some Jay Madomian joke making, stuff like that. But the thing I want to like sort of drive home before we like hop to our main guest is we are in this together. Like those of us that are in the working class are the people who are suffering, especially Black and brown communities, the people who are picking our food, the people who are working our service positions. If we want to keep them safe, we have to do the right thing and stay home. It sucks, but we're going to get through this. Now, they got the vaccine on the way. The populations that are being like prioritized for that are frontline healthcare workers and nursing homes because they're the most vulnerable. But in a couple of years, hopefully we'll all be vaccinated, but we got to have some patience. So even once the vaccine is fully rolled out, you're still going to have to get one shot, wait 4 weeks, get a second shot, wait another 4 weeks, and then you can go out and rave at the completely saved and even better than original Akbar. So that's all I've got to report from here. I'm really looking forward to partying with you all when we get through this. John, Tabs, thank you so much for your first hosting tonight. I'm really excited to see the next combo.
Also, get your flu shot. Just do it.
Not
the year to play with fire.
Yeah, I just got my flu shot. I'm not trying to catch the flu and COVID at the same time.
From an immunocompromised person, I want to say thank you both very much. Flu shots matter. They save lives.
Yeah, I got the flu once in like 10th grade, and I'll never, ever do that again. I was like begging to go to the hospital. My mom's like, they can't do anything. Like, there's not a cure for this.
Well,
all right.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Tim. Go follow Tim on, Twitter. Sasha! What's up? We live? Are we lagging? Ooh, I'm double screen.
Oh, there's Chris now.
Oh,
Chris, our secret producer.
So, all right. Spoiler alert: Sasha Gray's coming on the show. We're figuring out the windows and the muting.
Cool.
Yeah,
right.
there you are.
Yeah. What's up, you guys?
Just doing some hosting, talking about reality TV and COVID, two things of equal importance.
Definitely.
But thank you for coming on the show, and thanks for everything you've done. Sasha right now she's grinding it out, doing a fundraiser for us, putting the time in Cyberpunk. I don't know if you beat it yet.
No, I did not. I like to take my time.
That can handle it. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. We've been trying to get this going for a while. Sasha did a fundraiser for us a couple months ago. Actually, that lasted how many days? Like several days. You did streams for us. Raised a big chunk of change that went towards the mutual aid work to provide groceries and direct cash assistance to the families most in need here in LA. Sasha, how long have you been in LA? How long have you been in Angelino?
14 years.
Okay. You got me. You got one up with me. But yeah, so like you got like investment in this community. You care. There's a lot of groups I feel like you could have reached out to, but you found us. And I feel like I like to think we're doing a good job with like the money you've raised for us. How did you find us? I know like you DM'd us on Twitter, but we were like, what the hell? Like, you had such a great name.
Yeah, that's actually how I found you guys. I found you on Twitter.
Slid into our DMs.
I slid right in. I knew I had seen a lot of people share your posts. And I don't know, I think at the time when COVID hit, I was looking for somebody to raise money for, and I'm not a fan of going to the Red Crosses of the world or these big organizations. I'm that person that goes on charitynavigator.org and looks up organizations and I look at how much the people make that are on the boards, and I see how much is actually spent on the communities. And just so many times, like you hear these horror stories of these big, well-known international charities never giving money to the communities they claim to have helped. And so I knew that I wanted to find somebody that was actually doing the work on the ground and was connected to the community. And that's when I decided to reach out to you guys. And a big problem with raising money on streams, especially for a platform like Twitch, they have all these, they don't call them rules necessarily, but guidelines that they want you to follow. And so for my audience that's watching now, and maybe some of you are new here, and also for your audience, so everybody's aware, Twitch requires or asks streamers to collect money for charities through this third-party platform called Tiltify. And what that does is it allows the money that you as an individual donate, it allows it to go to the platform and then straight to the charitable organization, never touching the streamer's hands. And that allows for total transparency. I actually really like that. I think it's a great idea. Problem was, you guys weren't on there. And the problem was, a lot of big companies are. At the time, right after that, we started that fundraiser in April, and then all of the BLM uprisings happened end of May. And I started looking at more charities to donate to. At the time, there was one Black focused charity on Tiltify. And I looked it up, and it was not true. They weren't transparent. So I was like, okay, I don't want to raise money for them. And so since then, though, a lot of different organizations have joined Tiltify and have become available, which is a great thing. Hopefully bringing more light to causes that really do need help. Sorry, that was a long ass answer, but that's how I found you guys. Yeah, and I wanted the people to know what's up.
Well, yeah, the money you raise, like, we've been able to disperse a lot of that money to our friends and allies and groups like Black Lives Matter, and really like prioritize the needs of low-income Black and brown families, and just people who are like hurting the most from this. And we encourage you to fundraise for these other groups. Like, find a small nonprofit that you like and whose like values you align with, and throw it down for them. It doesn't have to be us, but
yeah, I think one of the coolest things we did, especially at the height of when it first started, it keeps going up and down, but was we were one of the few groups that were doing direct cash aid to people who needed it. So there was a lot of folks out there who were like, I am about to lose my phone, can't pay my phone bill or my car payments or my power. And so we were able to, or just I can't buy food, right? I lost my job and I can't buy food. So that was one of I think the most exciting things that I thought that we were doing. We're still doing some of it, so thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And so for everybody watching right now, can you just talk a little bit about the work that you're currently doing and where the money that we're raising right now will be spent?
So the money we're raising tonight, it's going to Power, which is where I went last time too, but then it went to specifically to the mutual aid work that was going on. Now there's a lot of other projects. Power, which stands for People Organized for Westside Renewal. It's been around since '99, organizing public housing residents all over LA. There's a lot of initiatives that it's going towards. A lot of the work we do, including direct outreach to our unhoused neighbors and providing services to them and helping getting them housed. Just recently, one of our friends at Echo Park Lake, we've been really involved in the encampment there and stopping their displacement, trying to get them housed. One of our members there who's unhoused was shot in the leg. Unhoused people are the targets of an enormous amount of violence. I don't know if you're following the news last year, but there's a rash of there was a serial killer targeting unhoused people. People, all the arson attacks against unhoused people. So when this just happened, we threw up the ask on social media, and people turned out again and donated money so that we could get these people into hotel rooms so they could heal. Well, it was Devon Brown, if you want to follow him on social media. And we've been able to raise enough money to keep him up for a few weeks at least. And that's great news. But that's some of the very real like no bullshit like stuff we're dealing with, and like your money's like helping us pay for these things.
And even like small things, like John mentioned, power. A lot of the power membership are people who are, or just in general, a lot of our membership are people who are in public housing developments. So if folks don't know, we actually do have some public housing in LA. It's not a lot, but we Power has organized in Mar Vista Gardens and in San Fernando Gardens up in the valley. And one of the things, for example, that HACLA, which is the federal like housing authority that oversees the public housing developments, they tried to like cut off their mail delivery at one point during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like,
like
I'm
we
not
have
sure
under
why.
attack numerous times from the Trump administration, like finding like these really specific ways to attack like our members specifically, like denying undocumented people from being able to live in. That was the Keep Families Together effort, where undocumented people weren't going to be able to live in public housing. So if family members had like, you already have to be a citizen to be on the lease, if I'm correct, but they often have spouses, girlfriends, like children who are undocumented living with them, and they were trying to Ben Carson just like decided, no, I want you guys specifically out on the street. So we had to fight against that. We tied them up in court long enough, I think, that luckily Trump's out now, but yeah, just like so many ways in which cutting off like our mail service just to like this one community, and like essentially disenfranchising them, which would have meant like all those people wouldn't have been able to vote, or would have been much more difficult.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's really, really weird and specific attacks against power members, from the Trump administration.
Also, like, if anyone has any questions about what public housing looks like, and why we're fighting for it, in the larger, fight and movement, it's super rad. Like, public housing really does work, and like really is the solutions to a lot of the housing issues that we're facing, and how to like help people get back on their feet. So it rules. Our members there rule. Like, they're all total badasses, and we have so much to learn from them.
Tabitha, do you want to talk about the vaccine outreach work you're doing with them now?
Oh yeah. So Power was one of the organizations that got some of the CARES Act funding to do outreach specifically around COVID. Because what we've seen, obviously, is like, this wasn't a surprise. COVID is a race issue. COVID is a class issue. Like, the people that are most being impacted by the pandemic are brown and black people in working class communities. And we have been going out into those communities, which are our communities, and telling people like, hey, like, have you gotten tested before? Do you know that you can get tested for free? Do you have any questions about COVID? Do you have any questions about the vaccine? We've been going out and taking care of each other, which is the thing we do every day, and the thing we've gotten really good at doing. It's our thing. And it's been really cool and rewarding to go out and work with a lot of people, and just like get, a lot of people come to us with just questions of just like, what's going on right now? Like, they're just, I think our government has done a terrible job of informing folks on what exactly is happening, and like what to expect, and why COVID is so dangerous. And just everything from like the symptoms, what to do if you get sick, like when you should go to the hospital, when, like, what are the differences between the flu and COVID. So yeah, it's been really exciting.
Yeah. Whoops, hold on, I just moved something. So, boom, had to fix that overlay right there. All right, so do you guys encounter people that like come up to you and either on social media or in real life that ask you or claim that COVID isn't real? Do you have to deal with these people on a daily basis? And how do you handle it if you do?
Sometimes. I think luckily in LA, I haven't seen as much of it, or at least not in the communities I've been going out into, because especially in marginalized communities, we're talking about people who have family and friends who have died of COVID. And so I think I'm running into less of it, but I think it's just an education thing. Like, with the people who I have run into a few folks who are like, I don't want to wear a mask. I've seen that a little more. And it's just like, okay, let me explain to you why it's important to wear a mask. Let me explain to you that this is really transmissible and like you can get really sick. And if you get really sick, you might die.
Yeah.
Like, let me explain to you that like, this isn't just about keeping yourself healthy. It's about keeping your community healthy. And like people, you know, eventually kind of put it together because, you know, nobody wants to get sick, obviously. And yeah, it's just education. Our government has done such a bad job of outreaching to the people who are being impacted the most.
I haven't had to deal with like too many of those types in LA. Honestly, like probably like the single biggest like COVID deniers and anti-maskers are the police, the LAPD specifically. It seems like at least on social media they've like cracked down on the public facing view that people have of them, and I'm sure if we like put in a public records request for their emails, we can find their social media guidelines about like no posting without masks. But they're just like flaunting it forever and like in large groups with no masks, and this has been going on, you know, all summer. And these are people who are like having daily direct outreach. I mean, because of like how over policed our communities are, you know, like every time, you know, a Black youth is coming into contact with the cops, they're now exposed to COVID. Every time like we have a protest and the protesters are staying safe and we're all masked, but none of the cops are. I mean, we're even at one of the recent Block Garcetti protests I had, they still had most of them. I feel like because there are so many cameras there had masks on, but the lead cop like didn't, and I'm sure they have some dumb excuse of how like, oh, you can't hear, but like we can shout at Garcetti and the police like through the mask, no problem. But somehow these guys, which are like, you know, I've gone through boot camp, I know they know how to yell.
Right.
They can't hear each other with like a cloth mask over their faces. So that, along with the jails, the contact police and sheriffs have with prisoners. The going to jail is often a death sentence for people, and the fact that, you know, we haven't taken more steps towards emptying our jails just means that law enforcement's coming into even more contact with COVID and then spreading it back into the community. And that if you get arrested, you can be completely innocent. You can be like wrongfully arrested or just arrested for like bullshit fine or something, and you might just like die of COVID in jail because we're like, it's more important for us to like have you in prison over like a $50 unpaid fine, than to not like execute you via a disease that we know you can get when you're in jail.
Absolutely insane. I see that they're pinging us to bring in Tim as well.
Bring in Tim.
Yeah, bring it in. But I know also, Sasha, there was like other things like you're interested in activism wise, protest wise. So if you want to like take the floor and start talking about that stuff and educating people, like go for it.
Yeah, man.
I'm really chatty. Sorry.
I was just like enjoying everything that you guys were talking about. Okay, so I brought up the list that I had sent you. I feel like the first question, and I know it's kind of general, so it could be open-ended. First question I had was, how can people stay motivated and involved during their local communities during this pandemic and in, you know, post-pandemic as well? Because I know that there's a lot of working class people who are struggling. And they're really, a lot of people are just so focused on the day-to-day life, just getting through, but they care. You know, and I hear this from families. I hear this from single parents. I hear this from so many people. I myself feel it oftentimes that I'm just like, okay, I've been freelance and independent my whole life, like, but I care and I want to get things done. And some days I just feel so overwhelmed. I don't know which direction to go in. So I do what I know best, which is use the power of my social media and my audience to help spread important messages, and then also times like this start charity drives as well. But I don't know if you guys have any advice for like staying motivated, or if somebody doesn't know where to start, like where could they start to get involved?
I'll hop in since I just joined. One thing that Mutual Aid LA has been doing is forming neighborhood pods. So you can get together with your neighbors and start protecting each other and start coming up with ways to just check in with each other, make sure people are doing okay, deliver supplies. But I think the main thing to avoiding burnout is learning to trust your comrades and learning to trust your friends, because we have this weird idea that the world stops spinning if we're not constantly working and productive. And we kind of need to learn to cut back against that and trust the folks around us and start establishing those connections. And that's as simple as just knocking on a door and talking to your neighbor.
That's a tough one. People are more antisocial than ever, even before COVID. Like, I don't even know the last time I talked to my neighbor, you know, I mean, but I think it will take initiative from a lot of people. And
I think that's like the easiest. I mean, that's my like canned response to when people are like, how do I get involved? Get to know your neighbors. What do you care about? Literally just bake some cookies, hang them on their door, leave a little note, you know, just say hi, what's up? Can I help you? So that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's just like build community, get to know the people around you, and together you'll figure things out.
I mean, how have you like stayed in it, Sasha? Like what's the stuff that's like helped you stay active?
I've ignored like a lot of life's basic things, and I've just put my energy into like staying informed.
Okay, folks, please take care of yourself.
Don't follow me. Like, I'm the worst advice. So half that question was about like, hey, I guess you kind of said it, Tim, like how to avoid burnout. And I guess the one way that I've been avoiding burnout is like sometimes just shutting off social media and just only using it like when I'd have to be like, I mean, Twitch is social media, but it's different. It's its own thing. So I'll just use it to say, okay, I did this and I have this video, and then I log off and I ignore stuff. Otherwise I would definitely be even more burned out.
I just deleted Facebook.
Yeah, no, there's something one of our organizers, Kendall, says a lot. You know, text communication is only 15 years old. Like, this is really new stuff, and it's meant to create division and animosity and be hard for us to interpret somebody's tone and what they mean. Getting away from text communication can be really, really healthy, and like it's all about just getting back to basics, I feel like.
And what was the organization you said? You said there was an organization building these neighborhood pods.
Oh, Mutual Aid LA. So you can go to mutualaidla.org.
LA project, but that's
I think that okay. I think that's great, because another thing that I found, and I hear a lot of people complain about, is apps like Nextdoor and what's the other one? I mean, they're basically Citizen. These things are so toxic. They're a breeding ground for racism. Nothing ever gets done, and it's full of people with too much time on their hands that don't actually care about creating change.
It's literally like, do you only want to know the bad news in your community? Join Nextdoor.
Yeah, it's really sick. So I think that's really cool.
NIMBYs complain about kids in hoodies. Like, I guess it's useful for that.
Yeah, like we haven't learned anything. So okay, for those of you in chat that are paying attention or didn't hear what that was and you want to know, again, it's mutualaidla.org. You can check that out if you're in LA. If you're not in LA, I have a bunch of links that I put together back in April. I know it was from you, John, and then a few other people I know, but depending where you are in the States or around the world, I put a document together that has different links where you can access similar groups in your community and get in touch with people that do similar work. So I'm going to find those links a little bit later, because if I do right now, I'll get way too distracted.
Right. There's also a really good website called mutualaidhub.org that has a lot of the mutual aid networks throughout the country, throughout the U.S. So if you want to do some mutual aid, help out some mutual aid networks.
No matter where you are in the country, there's a lot of ways to find out like how to get involved in your community. Some easy ways to like start that in the U.S. is like looking up People's Action, who we're an affiliate of. They have organizations all over the country doing the same kind of work we're doing here. There's other groups like Grassroots Global Justice, which my other organization, About Face, Veterans Against the War, is a part of. And we have, or again, it's another network of similar type, has groups all over the country and all over the world even, where you can plug in and get involved in, fighting for justice.
But I got to say, like with Ground Game, we started as like 12 people around a table 4 years ago. And that's where it all starts. Like, just get together with people that want to start making change and just start talking. And you'll be amazed what you can build once you all put your minds to it.
Definitely.
I never would have predicted this happening. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna have like a talk show with like Sasha Grey and raising money for us, and like Father John Missy's gonna like dedicate the sales to an album for us. It was like, where the fuck is this stuff coming from?
And we're gonna win a city council seat.
Yeah, we're gonna.
We're like, we're gonna put the first public housing tenant to ever co-chair a presidential campaign at a state level on Bernie's campaign. Like, all of this stuff was unimaginable 4 years ago, and we're just kind of folks that figured it out. Like, you can do this too, and you just got to take that step.
That is so dope. Okay, so I actually want to read something, and I don't have the context, so sorry about that in advance. But somebody from my chat, One Green Goat asked, I remember us talking about Garcetti's Olympics plan that could house people, and I know how we all feel about him in general, but if you could elaborate on that and where that stands as of now, that would be great.
I don't think Garcetti's plan ever intended to house people.
I think maybe what I've heard that people referring to that before is like Olympic Village, which we don't have to worry about building new housing to house the athletes, which is like, as like housing justice organizers hasn't really been our concern. But yeah, the Olympics this happened as soon as we got the bid. It's accelerating gentrification and police militarization. Developers and people who run mutual funds and stuff are already saying like, oh, invest in this property or this company because we're going to have the Olympics here. We're going to have like a very short period of time, like, so it's 10 years ago at that point, to make a bunch of money off of tourism. So we can start gentrifying these areas right now and pushing like low income people out in anticipation of this 2-week sporting event. So it's actually like, that's been our big point about the Olympics. It only exacerbates the housing crisis. It's going to jack rents up. It's going to cause the increased criminalization of the unhoused, which is what happened in '84 when we had it. They literally just rounded everyone up. They pushed unhoused people out of areas where there was going to be events, like on horseback. They just like drove them out. They rounded up hundreds of young Black and brown youth and arrested them and jailed them without cause just for like the 2 weeks of the Olympics, and then like released them. So yeah, it's like, if you like sports, I mean, the Olympics aren't good for athletes either. Like they're not getting paid. They're not being taken care of. There's like rampant abuse of these athletes. So I feel like if you really do like sports and you like the Olympics and you like these athletes, like there's ways to have sports and to like support these athletes without destroying like whole cities in the process. Mm-hmm. It's what it did to Rio. It's what it does to like every city who host these like mega sporting events, whether it's like World Cups, Olympics. Like it's just, they did it to Brazil after the last World Cup.
Just kind of tying it back to what we were talking about earlier, the Hollywood Community Plan update. Obviously, Hollywood is like one of like the hot spots in LA. And what we're seeing right now happening is that a lot of housing units are being converted to hotels. And like one of the biggest problems with that is that we're actually decreasing our affordable housing stock. Mm-hmm. So like we're losing rent controlled units. And over the past 10 years, the population of Hollywood has decreased. And I believe the largest like decrease in the population has been among Latinos. 17% of Latinos have had to leave Hollywood because it's getting too expensive. It's one of the largest like exoduses out of a neighborhood, especially we're talking about communities that have been there for like generations.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And we're just seeing all this market rate housing go up that nobody can afford. Like you drive around Hollywood and everything is like empty.
They're empty. There's a luxury building across the street from our office that has been like all but empty since it was built like 2 years ago. It's so absurd. There's a pool overlooking Hollywood Boulevard, and it's like I'm sure it like sells in the marketing material, but like who is like going out to hang out by the pool while like buses and ambulances are blaring by, and it's like this is not like a cool like Hollywood hangout location. And all like the buildings, like I don't even know what's going on. It's just like some investment property, because they're charging like $3,500 a month for a studio.
Dude.
Yeah. So yeah, there's so much more analysis on. You go to noolympicsla.org. You know, we've been signed on to the No Olympics coalition since the get-go. Not a fan, not here for it. Sorry if that's your thing. I don't know. I wouldn't say like you can have it in your town because we really don't want them to be anywhere under there. The IOC is also just full of like Bond villains. It's like people who gotten rich off of like Nazi gold and stuff. They're like caricatures.
You're not a fan of Henry Kissinger, John? I am so shocked.
Henry Kissinger.
Oh my god. Just a minute. I'm looking at my chat real quick.
If you like sports, follow Justin Jackson who is running back for the LA Rams, who's like a radical leftist apparently.
Talk a little bit about the anti-vax stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, do we have anti-vaxxers in the chat? I don't know what to tell you, folks. Just get a vax. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to make fun of you. That doesn't help. But
actually, I do have a question because we were listening into the first part of your stream before I joined in. So, are you all going to get the vaccine?
Yes.
The COVID vaccine, not.
Yes. I would be first.
Sorry, I speak slow sometimes. Are you going to get it right away?
Yes.
When it's available.
I would prioritize like the people who need it more than me. I've been like, I barely leave my house, but as soon as it's available, yeah.
I gotta say, like, I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I get lots of vaccines. I always get the flu shot, but I'm also an EMT, so like I'm gonna be first up to like get this. It's gonna be part of me like being able to do the work because 90% of medical calls in LA County or 90% of 911 calls in LA County are for medical, and most of those are for COVID. Like right now, we have less than 0.5% of our ICU beds. Like if you get in a car accident right now in LA County, we don't have a bed for you. Like the vaccine is going to save lives. And we have two choices of the vaccine, whether you get the Pfizer or the Moderna. They seem about 6 of one, half dozen of the other. There are legitimate reasons to not get the vaccine, and we'll be studying this. But this is the fastest we've ever developed a vaccine in world history. You know, the last was measles, which took 4 years. So this one taking less than a year is insane. There are some reasons to like be a little bit skeptical, but honestly, it does more harm than good. But it's going to be 2 years before we can vaccinate everyone. So there's going to be some time to study it some more. Yeah.
I mean, when I was in the Marine Corps, like you go through boot camp, they shoot you full of like anything they want. They'll literally use you as like test dummies. So there's probably all sorts of crazy shit in me. So I don't know. I'm used to this stuff. It means if I can get back to like Akbar and stuff.
Seriously,
I don't care. You know, I can have like a good year before the vaccine kills me or whatever. I'm sick of this. I'm ready to get vaccinated.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an anti-vaxxer whatsoever, but I am a little bit concerned about being one of the first people to take it because I feel like I'm that person that always gets those side effects. So like, oh yeah, 0.001% of people experience this, and then I will be one of those people. And considering that I've basically been holed up at home, I'm like, should I wait like a few more months? I'm
just
not going anywhere.
You know, like pull up some used chewing gum under desks, and you'll build up that immunity.
Like the reality of the situation is that there are people getting the vaccine now, so by the time it becomes widely available to the public, it will already have been months of people getting the vaccine. Like millions of people would have gotten it. Yeah.
So you think it'll roll out to frontline first?
Oh yeah,
and then public. So it'll go in that order. Okay.
Yeah, there's like the Department of Health has put out like a whole plan on how they're planning on rolling it out because unfortunately our federal government didn't buy enough vaccines for the entire population of this country.
What?
Why didn't they do that?
Go to Europe.
there's also issues with like the Pfizer vaccine, which is slightly more effective, requires super cold storage. So it needs to be stored at -90 degrees Celsius, which is like super cold. So cities like LA can handle that. But smaller parts of the country, they don't have hospitals with that kind of super cold storage. So a lot of it's going to be regional. A lot of it's like you'll have more access if you live in areas of wealth. We're seeing the same classism and racism inherent in our health system kind of replicated in this. And that's one reason like we're pushing people to get vaccinated in public housing, because they're generally the last folks to get these kind of interventions, and they're the ones that need it most.
Yeah,
also,
definitely.
Like, if you think about the amount of like chemicals and crap you put in your body anytime you eat like any fast food, like any chips.
And it's like, do you have any idea the vaccines that are going into the cows of the you're eating, and you're getting those chemicals, like you're getting those vaccines.
I saw a super funny meme that basically said exactly that. It was like, no way, I'm not getting that. It was like, it was a super anti-vaxxer meme making fun of anti-vaxxers. Like, no way, I'm not getting that. And then it shows them getting like a cut of steak. Like, but hey, this cow pumped full of hormones. Yeah, no problem.
If you had the KFC double down at any point in your life, I think you should just, give up any pretension to healthful living.
Oh, I love that.
It is health, okay? Like, do whatever you want with your body. If you want to not be in a pandemic anymore, get the vaccine. I want to go out and see my friends and party at Akbar. Like, I want that gin and tonic.
Do you guys have the link about the two different vaccines and the efficacy? Because you said the Pfizer one is slightly better, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, so it's right now they've had two very like small trials. I'll Google this in a second, but basically what they did was once 178 people were vaccinated fully and they had enough time, they're able to see how many people got COVID. And what they found was the people who caught COVID after being vaccinated were vaccinated between the two shots. You need both shots for it to be effective. The Pfizer vaccine is like 95.5%. The Moderna vaccine is like 94.5%. So it's a very small difference. A lot of the difference comes in how they're stored and how they're manufactured. The Moderna vaccine being easier to store and distribute. The Pfizer vaccine being a lot harder to distribute. But they're both based on like mind-blowing new bioengineering techniques that have to do with like mRNA and stuff that's like way above my level. But I'll Google that up. But like, you may not have a choice which vaccine you have access to, and it really won't matter that much, it looks like at this point, but that could change. So, take what we're saying as like guideposts and like keep doing your own research. Like Google is always there. Just read a lot of stuff.
It's
DuckDuckGo with DuckDuckGo.
That one too. But just like keep doing your own research. It's your body. You have agency. Make decisions that are right for you with the information available.
So use DuckDuckGo to search for Google.com, and then you'll be protected. At least, if you don't get the vaccine, at least your search history will be protected.
Okay, what else did I want to ask you guys? I had a couple, one or two from chat. Somebody, LTA Scott asked, Tim, as an EMT, have you experienced any of the COVID-like symptoms? You seem relatively healthy, but you are at risk since you're diabetic.
So I actually think I caught COVID when I moved back to LA, because I moved back the second to last week of February. And after doing 2 runs between Phoenix and LA and stopping all the truck stops, as I am wont to do, got sicker than I have ever been in my life, pretty much. And this was before testing was widely available. Nobody really knew the symptoms. I got super bad respiratory. I got super nauseous. I thought it was just my body freaking out as a diabetic. I get regular COVID tests about every week to every 2 weeks, and they've all popped negative, even after some secondary exposures. But it's a concern as I'm on the front lines, because you're constantly interacting with people, and you're interacting with sick people. Like, nobody ever calls 911 because they're like doing great. They're never like, come hang out at our barbecue. Like, just bring an ambulance. It'll be fun. We're always interacting with people that are like, could possibly be a threat. I'm more worried about stuff like tuberculosis. That's the stuff that really keeps me up at night, is running into a TB positive patient, because that stuff is super virulent. With COVID, it's kind of, we know it's out there. We know it's happening. We're being as safe as we possibly can. And it's really just about testing. And if you have an exposure, to then quarantine, which is a real pain in the butt, especially when the federal government isn't paying us to stay home.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Also, I don't know if anyone's aware, there is such thing as a pneumonia vaccine. So if you are immunocompromised, talk to your doctor if you have one. If you can, go to an urgent care because it is possible. It's not commonly talked about, but since pneumonia is a common side effect of COVID, it might be worth getting that vaccine. And it lasts until you're 65, and then around 65, you have to get it again.
It's very effective. The one thing I'll say is with COVID, it's when we first found out about it, we thought it was a respiratory virus and it just affected the lungs. We know it's a more full like pulmonary virus, and we're learning a lot about this virus as we go along. This is all happening much quicker than we're used to public health science moving forward. So things are changing fast, but take as many precautions as you can. And like, I'm a big fan of vaccines. I'm alive because of medical science. Without human analog insulin, I would have been dead a long time ago. So I'm a big believer in this technology, but there are risks to it, just like anything in life.
Definitely.
I'm a big fan of the band, the vaccines. Check it out. Spotify.
Oh, another thing I want to add, just because you kind of mentioned it, Sasha, is like the LA County at least has committed to making the COVID vaccine 100% free. Like,
oh, wow.
Regardless of immigration status, regardless if you have health insurance, like if you don't have money for it, doesn't matter. Like, if you live in LA County, you will get it for free. So like, hopefully please don't let that stop you from going in just to get the vaccine.
Cool. Okay. And then we got another question. I remember. No, sorry, that was the other one. I already read that one. Question: if a larger corporation, this is going back a little bit, if a larger corporation wants to donate, that was big. I don't quite. This is from a familiar user. Alternative Hippie, you were asking if a larger corporation wants to donate, are every documentation and so in order, because otherwise big donations are hard to get. I don't quite
we are a fully like legal C3, like Power People Organized for Westside Renewal. We file our paperwork. The IRS doesn't have any beef with us. We make sure to take care of that stuff because we do know that the federal government doesn't like people who necessarily do our work. So we make sure to dot all of our I's, cross all of our T's, check all of our P's and our Q's. So you can email us or get in contact with us. Yeah, and we have all the stuff. If you want to make a corporate donation, we handle that all the time, and we're more than happy to work with you or your employer to make that happen.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
As long as you're not like, if you work for Raytheon or like Lockheed Martin, it's not going to happen.
I hope that answered your question, Alternative Hippie. If anybody is looking to make a really large donation, I actually encourage you to...
I dare you.
I dare you, but I also encourage you to do that directly through their website and contacting Ground Game LA, because that's just going to make it a little bit easier, not having to go through this Tiltify platform. Tiltify, we're using Tiltify because I'm required as a streamer to have that on my stream in order to collect funds for them. That way the money never touches my hands. So I hope that answered your question. Somebody else, whoa, what was that?
We have one here too for Tim. Someone's asking in the chat if they should get the vaccine if they've recovered from a positive COVID situation already.
I would say yes, because we don't really know reinfection rates. And so it doesn't seem like reinfection is very important, is very likely. It can happen. But we also don't know what the immune system response is like totally. And we don't know how the virus is going to mutate. So the vaccine is a good thing to get. Whether or not we're going to have to re-up it every couple of years is still waiting to be seen. This is moving so fast. I say be safe rather than sorry. If you have an allergy or certain immunological conditions, or if you're pregnant, then you probably don't want to get the vaccine immediately without consulting a doctor. But if you're not in immediate danger, get it. It's not going to hurt.
A medical doctor. Just want to add.
Yeah, don't consult a doctor of art history.
Doctor of philosophy. I mean, those are other issues with the vaccine, but yeah.
Also, for large donations or questions about donations, you can email Kendall at groundgamela.org.
Also, thank God Tim's here to answer these questions.
KENDALL.
I would just be making jokes the whole time if it was just us. Thank God. That's what I'm here for, though.
Hey, everything in moderation, right?
Everything in moderation.
Oh yeah. What is this question? 1 second. Okay, somebody's asking, are the mRNA vaccines that Pfizer and Moderna going to be making, will they be much more common in the future? Is this the type of vaccine we think is most useful, particularly within the timeline? I cannot answer that.
That is so far above my pay grade,
yeah.
but it is cool technology, and I think we will see more of it, but like that is several steps above what I'm qualified to answer.
If you think you have the answer, user, please organize with us.
Yeah, that's something we're all just going to have to keep ourselves informed on. No idea. All right, what else? So you talked about housing issues earlier in your stream. We covered a little bit of that.
I have a question for you, Sasha.
Yeah.
Witcher 3, what build you go with? I haven't had anyone to talk about The Witcher with all summer.
Oh, the Witcher build?
Yeah.
Dude, you're gonna laugh at me. I didn't even focus on a build. I just played the game.
Yeah, you just enjoy the story. Hey, you did one with a story build. That's what we call it in the industry.
And I got a good ending on top of it.
I wasn't watching. Which one did you get?
I got the ending where Ciri becomes a Witcher and he ends up with Yen.
I went with Yen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I was happy.
Did you do the expansions yet?
No, I didn't, because then so I finished it like the week before Cyberpunk came out.
Okay.
And then I got a new PC finally, which is I've been saying I would do since like April 2019.
Are you on TikTok?
No, technically yes. I don't use it enough.
We'll like post it to socials or something, but there's this really good TikTok account that's just reviewing. He's like an electrical engineer, and he's just reviewing the electrical and like infrastructure from Cyberpunk 2077. And he's like, the bundling here is like very clean. That's good, but you know that's only a 10 amp whatever generator. It should not be hooked up to this medical equipment. It's it's the best content to come out of Cyberpunk 2077. Beyond,
you're gonna have to send me that. That's dope. Yeah, the chat's going off with the COVID stuff still. They have a lot of questions.
All right, let's get back to the real stuff.
But yeah, Cyber. You didn't start Cyberpunk yet?
No, I only have a PS4, so I'm just gonna wait till like the patches come out.
Okay. Yeah, I started Nomad on Cyberpunk. It's dope.
I did watch Johnny Mnemonic though, so I feel like I got a lot of that in.
That's the prequel, right?
It's the terrible 90s sci-fi movie that this game is largely inspired from. Yeah.
Oh man.
Special Agent Johnny Utah.
Well, I mean, I would say, yeah, like for real heads know the board game Cyberpunk with the dice rolling, and that's if you played that back in the day, then you know.
Yes.
I'm trying to let like your viewers know like we're a bunch of nerds who play video games too, and we just had our D&D stream like a couple days ago. The three of us are all on well, I just joined for the special holiday campaign.
Oh, cool.
You can watch us stream. We might be streaming Among Us. Wait, what's the one? The imposter one.
Oh yeah, that's Among Us. I also want to get Disco Elysium going just because I like communist detectives.
Yeah.
Somebody, I think one of my mods was talking about Disco Elysium. Let me see. Or maybe
if you're a fan of like Thomas Pynchon and like other weird like postmodern like lit stuff, like Disco Elysium just hits all the right buttons. Very point and click adventure, which I like because it's very low bandwidth. Not quite Monkey Island level humor, but it's good.
Yes. Somebody chat. Do you guys remember who brought that up? Was it a mod? I should check that out. I have a Discord where I have like a game suggestions channel because I will never remember half the stuff people talk about otherwise. Disco Elysium. Yeah, Ice Cold. That's the one.
We also did a new playthrough of Grim Fandango recently, the HD version, which is one of the greatest games of all time, and one of the only games where you get to organize dock workers, and it plays the Internationale.
I have that on my PS4 actually.
Let me know if you do a stream of it. Like we'll host you.
Yes.
We'll help you solve all the puzzles.
Chat, do you guys have any questions about games or anything else you want to know about the work that Ground Game does?
Hit us, chat. Hit us, chat. What do you got?
Let us know. Otherwise, I think a lot of these issues like go hand in hand, whether we're talking about, displaced people because of the housing crisis, whether we're talking about COVID issues, people not able to pay their bills, just LA, and then all the way down to the systemic racism that is a matter of fact within this country and how it affects everybody. Like all of these issues are, they go hand in hand. You can't separate one from the other. And so with some of those links that I shared with my chat a while back on learning how to organize a community, I also wanted to ask a little bit about, I know, but like maybe you guys can talk a little bit about if you want to involve yourself in a protest, like what are the steps you can take to be safe? Because I think a lot of people, especially this year, they maybe for the first time went to a protest. I heard that from a lot of people. Like, this is the first time I did it. This is the first time I didn't do it. Because I can't. On several reasons I can't. For several reasons I cannot. But I would love to hear you guys talk and inform people a little bit about like ways to stay safe, organizations you can reach out to know that you're going to be in good hands, and also about surveillance, because that's a large topic of conversations that you guys are having right now as well.
Yeah, I would just start off like not everyone needs to feel like they need to be out in the streets. Like if you can, I would encourage you to, but also like, know your body and your limitations, and like there's other ways to help. Sometimes when we go out and we do street medic stuff, what's like really important is having people who actually stay home and can act as like dispatchers for us and do all this like coordination from home, letting us know, like watching the news, keeping us in contact with each other and other groups. So like you don't need to, I would feel like if you feel like really strongly like I should be out there, like yeah, by all means, like go to the protest, like we'll see you out there, you're needed. But if people have like real concerns about like not going out, like there's other ways you can help. Like you don't like necessarily like need to risk it in that way. There's everybody, and that doesn't make like you less important too. So I would just like start off with that if someone wants to jump in.
Yeah, I would say, the first tip, if you are going to an action, go with a friend. Like always go in pairs, like two people, and you keep each other safe. You don't leave each other's side. You stay together from the time you go until the time you leave. Wear shoes that you can run in. Wear pants that are durable. If you wear contacts, leave those at home and wear glasses, mainly because if chemical weapons are deployed, the chemical weapons can get under your contacts and be worse. Don't wear any oil-based cosmetics. Don't wear any oil-based sunscreens, anything that can trap chemical weapons. But pretty much keep your head on a swivel and know your own comfort level. If things seem like they're getting too spicy for you, get out of there. If things feel like they're escalating beyond your comfort level, get out of there. Know the people that they're around you, and just know what you're willing to risk and what you're not willing to risk. Things get hairy for people when they stop paying attention and suddenly they find themselves getting kettled. They find themselves among people who are escalating beyond their comfort level. So just know yourself, know the person you're going with, and know that you're both going home at the end of the day, and then make that happen.
Would say also bring water, bring snacks.
Oh, you're a little low. Your volume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
bring water, bring snacks, she said, which is a very good one.
There we go. Sorry. Yeah. Bring water, bring snacks, especially if it's like during the day. And like, this summer was really hot.
Yeah.
There are some days out there that, bring water, bring snacks, like, turn off the facial rec on your phone in case you get detained and the cops get your phone for whatever reason.
Or the thumbprint, have a numeric lock on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't use facial recognition.
Don't record people doing illegal things. Like, I don't know where I stand on like the fence of like publicizing actions and stuff. Because I feel like sometimes like the right video or like documentation can maybe like bring people out to an action and help publicize it. But there's also like real concerns about like you doxing other protesters.
Yeah.
So just like be aware of that. You know, I would say like don't stream. There's probably, if it's a big action, there's going to be other people there like who are like really good at this stuff, and like you don't something like I was taught by Stop LAPD Spying is like we don't need to become providers of information. You know, people have been arrested and prosecuted based on things, shots like photographers and like social media posts and things like that. So I mean, we ran into this at the Battle of the Grove, like when we went out the street medic for BLM over the summer, and
that was a fucking day.
Some young people were doing some illegal things, and some of us were saying to the other people, hey, don't stop videotaping your friends doing these illegal things. Like nothing good is going to come of that. And there was some like resistance to that, because I think we just like we're already like so conditioned to just like documenting everything. And like I record concerts. Like I'm not one of those people who's like in the moment. I was like, no, I want to see this like video after. Like I get it. Like, and it's a really hard like habit to like unlearn and stuff. But like you should know that like if you're like posting like people looting on social media, you should be like, do I think those people like should have their homes raided by SWAT for that? Do I think like if it's my friend, do I think they should go to prison for that? So just be like, you know, it's not necessarily like worth like whatever kind of cred you might get, or even if it's not like ego based and you're like doing it for like the movement, consider how it like might jeopardize like what we're working towards in that way. Like there's always going to be like AP photographers and whoever else out there that like they're gonna have like documentation of it, and they're not gonna care about like whether or not a protester is like lighting a cop car on fire, his face is identifiable.
Right.
So we don't need to like help that stuff.
Also, hey, Sasha, I just dropped in our Skype chat a PDF that we put together for like protest prep. So feel free to share that. It's, you know, public information. The other thing I'll say, and I say this as an EMT and a guy who's been a street medic for a long while, learn basic first aid. It's really easy stuff. It's very simple. Go take a CPR and an AED class from the Red Cross. It'll cost you anywhere from $25 to like maybe $80. But this is information that could save a life, could really help someone. And like when you're in a protest, if somebody gets hurt, the cops aren't letting an ambulance through. We have to protect us in that situation. And you have to be responsible and accountable to yourself and your comrades. And like, I don't mean to be too heavy, but like we saw the cops beating the shit out of elderly people at Fairfax. Things turned really bad really quick. And it was the state that was attacking us.
Yeah. I would say also listen to organizers at the protests. Like usually when things start to escalate, organizers are the ones who will like step up and start giving instructions. Like just listen. They're probably we're coming from a place of experience. Like I've seen people be like, we're going to get kettled. Everyone get out of here. And like people start being like, no, like, okay, that's not good for you. Like, you know, we don't want anyone to get hurt. Also,
if you're in LA, stay away from the 3rd Street tunnel. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. When they blocked all those people.
Yeah.
That was insane. Okay. So this is a kind of maybe more of a question for the future of what could happen, but a thing that I've noticed a lot lately is, well, not lately, forever, is how whoever has the first news story, they kind of control the narrative. You know what I mean? So if one person blasts social media and local news and national news, that dominates the narrative of what's being talked about. And obviously that's a big problem because like you said, you saw old people getting pushed down to the ground and beaten. And us here, those of us that inform ourselves and watch different news channels and we listen to different news radio and we consume social media and we're hearing all sides of the story, we're aware of that. But I feel like so many people are not aware of those things. So do you see a future where these things could be fought, or do you think we're kind of doomed? Because it's like the minute Twitter flagged something that Trump said, you know, the Republican Party started to say, well, we're not going to support you. You know, like, I mean, it's like it's so twisted. It's so completely twisted. And I don't know, it's frightening because like I think those other stories of the old people getting hurt, as painful as they are, it's like important that people are also hearing these stories.
There's a fine line between like what I call protest porn and informing people. And it's a lot harder to do that in a corporate media environment. Like all of these platforms are owned by gigantic, shitty corporations. And there's no way around that at the moment. But one thing that we're doing at Ground Game LA is we built knock.la, and you can go to knock.la and check out our hyper-local coverage. And that's kind of the antidote as we see it, is building local, community accountable news sources. But it's really hard once a narrative gets set in the public mindset to push back. And one thing that we talk about a lot is we set the narrative. So when you see things happening, talk about that and make sure that you and your comrades are talking about the same thing. Make sure that you're not talking about like, oh, I saw this person get arrested for blah, blah, blah. No, don't talk about that. The cops troll Twitter. They troll Facebook. They troll Instagram. Yeah. They have entire departments. Like LAPD pays hundreds of cops to sit around and surf social media and like follow us. Hey, how you doing, officers? Hope you're enjoying the show. But like, just be mindful of that. And like the best antidote to the surveillance state is, again, face-to-face communication. Know who you're talking to, know when you're talking to them, know the people you can trust.
Got it.
Don't talk to guys in Dodger hats and baggy jeans.
So we have another question from chat. A friend in Koreatown started Meals on Wheels with friends in the neighborhood to deliver food to the homeless. Does Ground Game do anything near Koreatown?
Yes. I mean, this house right here, I mean, I like to think it's Koreatown. Technically, it's Westlake / Rampart Village, depending on how you look, but it's just on the other side of Vermont.
Stealing that K-Town valor, John.
I mean, I moved here right from K-Town, so I'm not going to give it up. But I would say they should check out K-Town for All, which is an organization we work a lot with. They're much love. But they specifically do outreach to unhoused people in Koreatown, and including like our neighborhood here. So even if you're a little outside of Koreatown, like you'll be covered. But they do direct outreach, providing services to unhoused people, I think every week.
Every weekend
they
generally.
Turned into be huge advocates. Like, and there's some like nonprofits and stuff that like just give people food, which is like something that needs to be done. Like there's hungry people, but like doesn't mean you don't have a voice too and you can't use it. And like K-Town like isn't afraid to use their voice. I mean, they actually formed out of political advocacy to get a shelter built in Koreatown, and there's a lot of resistance there in K-Town. That's what they were born out of, and they continue to do a lot of political advocacy for the unhoused, like calling in, giving public comment, protesting. A lot of their members were also came over to the Nithya campaign to actually like put those ideals into action and get that stuff passed. Their vision for housing for all and everything. So check them out. You can also check out us, Ground Game LA. We do some of that in the area. Street Watch LA does a lot of specifically like cop watching for abuse against unhoused people. There's a K-Town element to that. So check out those folks.
Also check out Polo's Pantry. They do food justice work for a lot of people across LA, and also for people who work in like literally picking our food in the Central Valley and stuff, and people who are generally underserved. LA Can is another great resource to check out. Sorry, I cut you off there, Tab.
I was just going to say, we also do a lot of tents work in K-Town. K-Town is the densest neighborhood in the city. And if you've ever walked through K-Town, all you see are like apartment buildings. Organize your building. We'll help you.
Definitely. Somebody asked about protest. Icicle asked about protest. Do you ever feel the message of the movement is lost when some people take advantage of the chaos?
I mean, look, like we live in a capitalist society where violence just happens all the time. Like banks evict people. That's violence. We drop bombs on Yemen. We sell bombs to the murderous like Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Violence has to be contextualized. So like Bank of America gets a window smashed. Whatever. Bank of America will survive. I don't care.
Yeah, that stuff's like small potatoes. It's really about how the media chooses to cover it and like what you're seeing. You're seeing a lot of Starbucks windows being smashed in. You're not seeing. Has everyone here been like assaulted by the police at this point? Like, Tabitha and I were out together that first night. That was a Thursday or Friday when everything popped off downtown. Yeah. I was there. I thought I was going to take pictures for Knock and document it. The police. I had my big ass DSLR camera. The police like saw me and shot me in the arm with a foam round.
I remember
Tabitha. they beat our other friends who are like, I mean, look how friendly and lovable we all are. I'm not going to shed a tear for Starbucks, but we were not the people like throwing the bricks to the Starbucks window, and we still got the beat down from the cops. So like really like contextualize that violence and like who's taking advantage of those situations. Like the police are taking advantage of it by using a broken window as an excuse to hospitalize human beings.
Boom. There you go. I think it doesn't get more clear than that. I think it was Grungy asked, do you guys think that hunger strikes could help in future police brutality protests?
If it's organized.
Yeah. Any strike will
Don't do it without telling anyone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, diversity of tactics is always good. We should try a lot of different stuff and try what works for you. But again, be safe, and make sure that like people are paying attention. The point of a protest is to get eyeballs and to make sure people are noticing what's going on.
Yeah, any strike. I mean, labor strikes too.
Yeah, go strike.
Yeah, I think there's that statistic. The year that the New Deal was passed, there was like 3,000 strikes or something that year. Like if you think about, yeah, in the MLB, wow. There were so many strikes, like, but yeah, if you think about there only being 365 days in a year, like that's one of the more effective ways of putting pressure because you're pretty much just affecting the corporations directly.
I will say, I'll add to that. I just put out a quick piece on Knock about, it's called "Has Eric Garcetti Ever Met with You?" to demonstrate like the lack of access we have to him. And I interviewed a bunch of organizers with it. The answers are like overwhelmingly no, or maybe like one time a long time ago. And one of our friends, Alex Nagy, who organizes with Food and Water Watch, she met with the mayor once in a group when she was on a hunger strike with SEIU, I think was the union outside City Hall. So that was like them being on hunger strike for multiple weeks.
Wow.
Actually did finally pressure the mayor to come and meet with them over it was a Fight for 15 campaign. So yes, do it, but also like make sure people know you're doing it and stay safe.
Somebody said breaking things never solved anything. Ground Game is not condoning breaking things. We're just talking about things that have happened at protests. And somebody in chat asked, do you think that the message of the movement could be lost when those type of things happen?
Yeah.
You guys, chat, when you're at a protest, hopefully most people are there for good reasons because everybody wants change, but you're always going to have people that are doing the contrary. You're also going to have infiltrators. So no, they're not condoning those things, but I hope you go back and listen to the VOD and listen to what Tim actually said, because he's not condoning it, but he's rather saying that the message at large.
I do want to clarify here real quick is like, we don't think smashing a Starbucks window gets you systemic change. That's not going to help change the system, right? We're fighting on multiple levels. Be out in the street and like yelling at people, but also vote down ballot. Also support candidates like Nithya. Talk to your neighbors, organize your building. That's where systemic change happens. When we see uprisings, that is a lot of political discontent that is rising up. And so it becomes a question of like, how are we effectively making change and how are we effectively reaching those people? Like the issue I have with a lot of the Black Bloc kids is they don't understand what they're actually trying to accomplish. That takes some thought, that takes some organizing. So when somebody smashes a window, like I don't really care about that. I'm more upset that they're raising the level of risk for me and children that are in the group. They're like, now the cops are going to start firing munitions. At the same time, like cops break down doors and throw grenades into like bassinets and like kill children. Like the violence of the state is something we don't ever push back on enough and something that goes unremarked upon. So I would say, like don't go around breaking a Starbucks window and expecting that to save the world. But also don't equate that with like the fact that LAPD is the deadliest police department in the nation. They've killed almost 700 people in 7 years.
Yeah, like, if you're comparing like me thinking like my arm was broken to like a franchise owner having to drive down to Vernon to get a replacement window or fill out like an insurance form as like equal like acts of violence, like that's absurd.
Right.
Like the guy who after when they went out to celebrate like the Lakers win, and the police are the ones who escalate. The guy who had to get like facial reconstructive surgery because the police escalated then, and like that that is somehow on par with like the potato chips that got like taken out of a truck and distributed. Like those are like the same thing. If I don't know what to tell you, like I don't equate those two things. I don't think they're equal. I don't think they're worth mentioning in the same conversation.
No. What was, by the way, to backtrack, you said was it Colosele that works with the Central Valley?
Polo's. Polo. Yeah. Polo's Pantry.
Thank you. I want to check them out because that is one thing that, like, again, didn't get enough coverage is, a lot of people were talking about essential workers, healthcare workers on the front line. But not enough people were talking about the people that are responsible for bringing us our food. So, and picking our food.
Also, the amount of people that have been forced to work.
Mm-hmm.
Pandemic, like when you think about retail workers too, like,
yeah, what's been considered an essential? Child actors are essential workers right now. There are 5-year-olds in Los Angeles who are deemed essential workers. What is going on? Like, can we talk about that?
Yeah. No, Nickelodeon just had a COVID outbreak on one of their kid shows. Young Sheldon just had a COVID outbreak. Like, we don't need TV shows. No. Like, it's okay. Hollywood can just button it up for a minute. Tom Cruise can yell all he wants.
I think that was fake. I call fake. That's a publicity stunt, man. It went on for far too long. I was listening. I was like, nah, the audio is too clean. First of all, you don't get stolen bootleg audio.
It was better than that clip from the Mummy that got leaked where they forgot to put in all the sound effects and stuff. So.
Oh man. What's that? Yeah, I didn't buy that. Good messaging, but I didn't buy it. A friend in Koreatown said, okay, wait, we went through that Polo's Pantry life kit. Oh, cool. Shelter for Koreatown. Popping.
Literally no one has video game questions. They just want to know about life-saving vaccines and
gonna protect you. Cool, awesome. And wealth, the law's really good protecting wealth, assuming you have a lot of it. Yeah, exactly. I call it sake. Chat, do you guys want it? Nobody asked about games.
We're normal people too.
We just.
Didn't you hear our reality TV rant?
I was commenting on that when we were watching. Like, this is also why I love you guys, because you know how to laugh and you know how to have fun, and it's so important right now. We were supposed.
Yeah, like you have to have the ability to laugh and look at the absurdity, and it helps to have a modder around. So if we can figure out how to clone John and send him out to your organizing groups, things will be so much more fun.
Yeah, people are like, are you going to take the vaccine? Like, I'm already trying to figure out how to clone myself. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh, man.
God, I would be my own best friend, you know.
Do you find, okay, it's a joke.
All right, that's a little too much.
Do you find Miss Pac-Man has equal rights?
We're for a genderless pack person.
Pack person. Yeah. Love, laugh, live. I saw that in the kitchen one time.
Now, for the old school anime heads out there, each person must seize happiness for themselves despite the sorry state of the world. Samurai X, really good advice.
Ooh, I like it. Oh man. Well, super good talking to you guys. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add. Maybe you could just one more time for people that are just joining the stream, because it is the nature of live streaming. Maybe there are people that are just popping in that didn't get to hear about the work that you guys do, and maybe you could just one more time remind them about what it is you guys do and where the money that we're raising will be spent.
Organizing tenants, fighting your landlord, getting you COVID relief, getting you food, organizing public housing residents. What else do we do? Fighting to defund the police.
Ending the war.
Ending the war.
There's a war going on, folks. We're trying to end it.
Urban farming.
Yeah, no, we do a lot of stuff, and like
working with refugees,
yeah,
migrants like coming up from Central and South America. We've done that stuff. That's ongoing. Settling, asylum seekers.
But to also let you all know, none of us get paid for this work. We're an all volunteer organization at Ground Game, and Power has a couple of staffers, but most of us work other jobs for our ability to do this because we see it as a privilege. Like we see it as something that we're really lucky to be doing. So we're not taking your money and going to Cabo. We're taking your money and redistributing it to people who need it way more than we do, and making sure that they understand how to build power for themselves. You know, we want to make the most impacted people the most powerful people in our society. They're the people who are closest to the solutions.
But if you give your money to Akbar, we won't have to take your money and go to Akbar. We'll just be able to go there and get free drinks.
Yes.
Oh, also, one of our staffers, I think a lot of people think everything in nonprofits should be free labor, which in Ground Game it is. We do have a staffer in Power, and it's really important she gets paid. Her name's Ashley Bennett. She was an outreach worker with LAHSA, the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, which is a multi-agency city and county group that tries to get unhoused people services. And she was a big advocate for the people in Echo Park. And she was the top outreach worker in her district. And she was, our council member, Mitch O'Farrell, had her fired. He was not her boss. He went around to her boss, who does not answer to him, and said, I want this person to get the axe. We have the emails that we secured through Public Records Act requests, and got her fired. And this was her job. She was good at it, and that was her income. And so once that happened, we said, fuck this shit. We're going to raise the money to hire you on with Power to continue to do this work and get people housing.
Nice.
That's the work that's been going on in Echo Park. That's the work when we mentioned Devon earlier, who got shot. That was Ashley who helped them. That's been Ashley who's been keeping those people in place, getting them services, trying to keep the bathrooms open at the lake, trying to keep lights on. The city has been attacking us in the most petty ways, all while trying to give the park rangers guns to terrorize residents for. So yes, now Ashley is getting paid through Power, so you can help continue to get her paid. And that's important. It's important. I think people learn that people like me aren't getting paid for this work, but Ashley is. So just to contextualize some of that stuff.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Guatemalan organizer. He was I think a political prisoner at one point. He's a badass story.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you just remind me of? Somebody said there's some people going back and forth having their own side conversations in chat, which made me think mental health, because mental health services are basically non-existent in this country. Do you guys have any resources for people that cannot afford private insurance, or maybe they can afford private insurance, but they can afford going to get mental health with that insurance? Do you guys have any resources you can talk about and share with chat that might be useful?
It really depends on what you are seeking, the therapy or whatever it is for. There are actually some semi-decent county ones. Some of them have some long waits. And then there are some other community clinics that do a lot of mental health work. And I know that there have been some, a lot of therapists have been doing some pro bono work too. I wish I knew them off the top of my head. Yeah, a lot of therapists that are offering sliding scale now.
Given Hour is a group that's been suggested to me. Given Hour has therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, all sorts of different training levels, you can sign up there and they'll do pro bono work for, it was recommended to me because I do pro bono work for veterans, but also survivors of domestic violence and other categories. You can get some free mental health care there. And
oh, wow.
I think that's nationwide. I definitely know it's here in LA.
Given Hour chat.
Yeah.
Give an hour. Sorry. Thank you. Give an hour.
But
also
one of the
Rose City Center in Pasadena, the
LGBT Center.
That's right. Yeah. I think the Maple Center on the west side. There's another one in Pasadena that's really famous.
Do you know what about any services for Native American communities? Because I know that in the past I've heard different reports of just, of course, the issue of even discussing mental health within the Native American community. Of course, that's prevalent in a lot of BIPOC and very religious communities that also exist as well. So but specifically with Native American communities, I know there's a lot of distrust for the system and outsiders. So
yeah, I mean, as there should be.
Yeah.
I don't know specifically for like mental health resources, but I would tell people for that to follow Indian Collective on social media. My good friend Crystal Tubles works for them. She's also an About Face member. And who else? Like Lakota Law Project. But, follow and support these grassroots Native organizations. And oftentimes they will like post about these things, but I'll get something for you specific to that you can follow up with people.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
But also one of the best things we can do is get people health coverage and help them navigate the bureaucracy. And we're doing that through the CHW program. Like Medicare for All will save lives. Like, don't stop fighting for that.
Seriously.
At me, taxpayer funded health insurance.
Seriously. I don't even know why the healthcare system is even on Wall Street. I don't know why it's publicly traded.
That's sick. Like a whole nother conversation.
It's so sick, dude.
Thank Richard Nixon. He did a lot of great things, and that's obviously one of his best.
Never stop asking if having, an F-35 is worth, your mom's cancer treatments or your insulin medicine. Which one would you rather have?
Okay, this is something because I don't, I usually am playing games on Twitch or cooking. This is just a thought. Like, I'm not even expecting you guys to have an answer for this, but it drives me insane how medication that you can get in Europe, cash price, by the way, can cost, let's say, €7, which equates to what, $8 US. That same medication in America might cost you $150 cash. Like, where is the sense? It's usually even the same manufacturer.
Yeah, it comes from a couple of places. One is most European nations negotiate drug prices. Like, that's why Walmart's so cheap. They use their purchasing power to get the cheapest prices possible and then pass the savings along to you. We could do the same thing with the federal government, except Congress has passed laws saying you're not allowed to do that. Now, one good thing, and I hate saying anything good about President Trump, but I will say he has allowed the reimportation of medicine, which was already happening. Diabetics like me, I'll go to Tijuana and buy my medication there because it cost me $1,750 a month for my insulin to stay alive for 1 month. And this isn't like I feel better with it. I die in about 72 hours without insulin. Yeah. I can go to Mexico and get it for $200 for a month, maybe 2 months. Here in the US, I can't afford it unless I've got insurance. And even then, I'm paying about $150 to $300. And a lot of it's just market forces. Like Eli Lilly, Sanofi, all those companies are allowed to set their own prices with no regulation because they have bought their way into Congress. And we just need to stop that. That's literally, it's got to be political change. Either that or acts of resistance. The shittiest feeling you'll ever have is walking into a pharmacy, having your insulin on that side of the counter, but not enough money in your checking account to buy it, and knowing if I grab that and run, I'm going to jail. But if I don't get that right now, I could die. And that's America, and it sucks, and we can fix that.
Yeah. So much.
It's just corporate greed.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys have any other questions? Thanks so much for that went. I didn't expect it to go long, but
went really smashingly, cool. I think.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Yeah, definitely. So chat once again, Ground Game LA. Check out their Twitch. You guys do this show once a week?
Yep, every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Plus extra stuff.
if you want to see my pretty face, me and our technical director, Chris, we do a podcast sometime between Saturday and Sunday when we get our shit together. We cover like local news. And then we're planning to do more content. So drop by. We do the Dungeons and Dragons stream every other Sunday night. So we're looking to do stuff. Also check out knock.la. And if you're interested in like getting organized or like doing stuff in your community, hit us up. That's what we're here for. We want to franchise this. A ground game in every neighborhood.
Definitely.
You could always just,
Chris also does the city council live streams.
Yeah, city council live streams.
Yeah, and you guys all chat. I'll clean up that document that I created in the middle of the year so you guys have access to it. So for those of you that aren't based in LA, if you want to join similar programs where you are in your city, I put together a whole list of resources for you guys to access and find similar programs. So I hope it's helpful. Shout out to Ground Game LA. Thanks so much once again, you guys. We're going to continue this campaign, though, even though the co-stream's ending, the campaign will run until December 22nd.
Thank you so much, Sasha.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sasha. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks again. Happy holidays, you guys.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Are we still talking or still on?
Yes.
Okay, now we can talk about reality TV.
All right, put it to rolling, and you're gonna get the rest of the reality TV.
Let me shut out. I thought I closed that.
Oh, we still have a ghost.
Boop. Quit. Okay. Quit. Let me put some music on. Probably gonna be loud. Oh no, we're good.
We should know Kim Kardashian's been boosting what's been going on in Armenia.
Oops, wrong one. Turn off the wrong thing. Pre-game Skype close.
Turkey bombing.
He's still getting people out of jail.
Yeah.
Trying to stop people from getting executed, which is a good thing.
Whatever your friends on Kim K are, she's one of the least problematic reality stars, at least. She's not as bad as Spencer, who is an abuser.
Yeah, we don't fuck with Spencer, y'all. We have issues with Spencer.
We started watching The Hills, and we should just live stream that. Also, if you're a fan of something we realized is all these shows exist within like the same cinematic universe, which is like makes sense because they also exist within the same literal universe. So they're all like, I'm like learning these people are on like all the different shows and they all go to like the same club. What's like the big club in the Hills? And
oh no,
because it's the one that Chloe gets like the DUI from.
Yeah. And it's like a one word, like
area,
yeah.
And it's gone now. It's gone because of gentrification and because of rents and because you can't maintain like any space in an area like that. So if you ever thought like, oh, I'm gonna visit these like cool sites, I'm gonna go visit where Lauren and Heidi used to live. Well, you can't because it's gone. And not like those are the biggest victims of gentrification, but it just like it never stops,
All right, John, we should make a Bachelorette prediction. We're here. I know you're not caught up, so I'll just
think what's her name?
Tasha?
Tasha's gonna win.
Well, yeah.
That's my prediction.
What if she doesn't win?
She's gonna pick someone, right?
You think she'll get turned down?
I don't know. I mean, that's an option. Are people like that bad at self-promotion that they would be like, no, I don't want like all the fans from this.
Okay, I'll tell you who's left. We got Zach, Brendan, and Ivan. Who do you think it's gonna be?
I need to see their faces or their jobs. What are their jobs/faces?
I don't remember.
Can someone bring up Ben for me? Do we still have the ability to do that? Can we bring up a graphic of Ben?
We need Ben and a
from
photo of you with hair.
Tabitha, can you do that? I'm on Ace's computer. I don't do these.
Okay.
Hey, we're talking to Chris, folks. That's who I'm talking to.
Plot twist, you can hear Chris, and he just doesn't know it. All right.
What else? What else reality is going on, folks? We can't see the chat. Give us some reality stuff to talk about.
Okay.
I haven't caught up. We're caught up to the wedding in the Hills. We haven't watched the Hills reunion yet.
Right.
Let us know what team you are. We're Team Whitney.
Yeah, definitely Team Whitney. Also, oh my God, I'm like blanking on everyone's name right now. Who's
Team Audrina?
Oh yeah, I'm Team Audrina for sure.
Back up Team Audrina, but we're mostly Team Whitney. That may change. We'll see. We haven't watched Whitney's spinoff yet.
Right. I can't wait to see your spinoff. Okay. Chris, there's a picture of Ben.
All right, punch it on his face. I'm gonna do the same face.
Yeah, I gave you a good one. He just got sent home last night.
I'll organize him.
For those of you who are still watching,
we need to bring him on the show.
Yeah, we should.
We need to, you know what we could do? We could make this like Eric Andre, because no one knows about this show. So we could just start bringing on reality stars and
they'll come. They do like podcast circuits and stuff. Okay, I think Zach's the front runner, but my favorite is clearly Ivan.
Which ones are they? What are their jobs?
Okay, I don't think, did you watch far enough into it? There's Ben. All right, tell us in the chat. Does John look like Ben?
Oh, I gotta cut off my head. We could be brothers. He's like the vet who like he got home and like